number 625-555-1935.
Let's do it.
Now, you don't know who purchased this phone.
No, I attempted to find out who had purchased it, but the security information at the point of purchase had been destroyed for that day specifically.
So that's a yes. You don't know who purchased this phone.
Yes.
You don't know who used this phone.
No, I do not.
You don't know specifically what they did on that phone besides those 118 text messages that you reviewed.
No, that's not true. I actually reviewed a document that said it had sent 1,600 calls, 750 text messages, and actually it was around 300 or so phone calls and text messages from the 118 phones that I had looked at.
I want to make sure this is clear for the jury because you just said some numbers that don't match up. You only reviewed 118 phones, right?
Yes,
You only know the content of 118 text messages.
that's true.
You do not know what those other 600 text messages you just said were.
I don't, but I know that there were actually around 300 or so phone calls and text messages from this number directly to the 118 District 12 resident phones that I was able to review.
Bringing you back to my question, you don't know what those other 600 text messages said.
No,
You don't know who they were sent to.
no,
You don't know if they were election related at all.
no, I do not.
Likewise, the calls, you talked about the calls you reviewed on those 118 phones, but apart from those, you don't know those other calls' content.
No, I do not.
You don't know who they were sent to.
No,
You don't know if they were election related at all.
no, I do not.
So I want to talk to you a little bit more about some of the things you did in the campaign office for Max Heisman.
Okay.
Permission to approach with what's already been entered as Plaintiff 2 and Plaintiff 5.
Okay.
So I just handed you two documents. One is Plaintiff 2, which is a flyer, and one is Plaintiff 5, which is a supposed memorandum from the Heisman campaign office. Right?
Yes.
Now I want to be clear, you were given access to every single computer in the Heisman campaign office, right?
All of them that were available, yes.
So every single computer that was available when you did your analysis, they gave to you,
That's true.
voluntarily.
Yes.
And you looked at every single computer, laptop, tablet, and device in the Heisman office.
Yes, I analyzed all of them with limited search terms.
And you were looking for three specific things, right?
Yes.
You're looking for any evidence that this flyer existed on any of those computers.
I searched for the file names with the words that are contained in this document to see if they may have been on the computers, but I was only given access to the hard disks of the computers. I was not given access to external drives or cloud storage of any sorts.
Bringing you back to my question, on all of the computers in the office, you looked for all of the content of this flyer, right?
Yes, through limited search terms.
You looked for all of the content of this memorandum.
Yes, through limited search terms.
And these search terms you keep mentioning, you search for those as well. Things like corrosion, education, fraud, you look for those?
Yes, in the file names on the computer, those were things that I looked for.
I want to be clear, you didn't find any evidence of this on any of the Heisman computers, right?
I didn't find any evidence of either of these on the hard disks of the Heisman computers. As I said, I was not given access to any sort of cloud storage or external drives that they may have used.
So on the hard disks that store the files on the computer, you didn't find any evidence of Plaintiff 2, this flyer.
Yes.
On the hard disks that store the files of the computer, you didn't find any evidence of Plaintiff 5, this memorandum.
Files aren't always stored on the hard disk is something that needs to be said as well. But yes, you are correct.
And you didn't find any evidence of any of those terms, education, erosion, fraud, in relation to election fraud.
In none of the file titles, no.
Commissioner, approach and retrieve.
Please.
So I know we already discussed this list of phones that you looked at, and I want to make a couple other things clear for the members of the jury. You did go and meet with all of these 118 people who handed you their phones, right?
Yes, I met with all 171, and I got 118 of the phones.
Now, you didn't ask them if they actually voted in the 2015 election, did you?
No, I did not.
In fact, you don't know who they voted for if they did, right?
I don't know that they even voted at all.
You don't know if every single person who received that text was a Heisman supporter.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance at this point? Why is it relevant?
Your Honor, one of the burdens that the plaintiff has in today's case is to show that the outcome of the election would have changed. If this supposed fraud was sent to Heisman supporters, that in fact would have hurt Mayor Heisman's campaign, not helped it as the plaintiff is alleged.
Agree, overruled. Yes, Your Honor.
So you don't know if every single one of those text messages and phone calls went to a Heisman supporter.
I don't know who any of the people who own the phones supported. I stayed as objective as possible. I literally showed up, took what I needed from the data, and moved on.
So that's a yes to my question. You don't know if all of the people who received texts and phone calls were Heisman supporters.
Well, I don't know who they supported at all.
And you don't know whether or not them receiving that text or phone call actually changed their voting behavior.
As I said, I had limited words and conversations with these people. I got the phones, I got my data, I got it.
So I want to talk about the analysis you did on Mayor Heisman's phone.
Mm-hmm.
You'd agree with me, on Mayor Heisman's phone, there's some 2,655 contacts saved, right?
That is true.
And just one of these 2,655 contacts was that 625 number you mentioned earlier.
Yes, and it was stored in the phone the same day that the actual 625 number was created.
And so I want to be clear, you don't know who typed that into the phone, right?
No, but only someone with access to the passcode and the phone, and from what I know, that's only Mayor Heisman.
Well, let's talk about how that, you said it could only be Mayor Heisman. You don't know if Mayor Heisman gives her phone to her staffers.
No, I don't, but I was not provided with any information as such.
You don't know if she gives it to her staffers and tells them her password.
As I said before, no, I do not.
You don't know if Mayor Heisman has a staffer enter numbers that are activated in District 12 into her phone as contacts.
No,
You don't know if Mayor Heisman gives her phone away while she's giving speeches.
that's true.
You don't know if she gives it away while she's off meeting with constituents.
That's true.
So you don't know who had access to Mayor Heisman's phone.
No, but the evidence that I was provided said only Mayor Heisman had it.
So that's a yes to my question. You don't know who had access to Mayor Heisman's phone.
I do not know.
And you don't know who had access to Mayor Heisman's password.
I do not.
So you don't know who typed that into the phone.
No, but from what I was given, Mayor Heisman would have been the only one to do that.
So that's a yes to my question. You don't know who typed it into the phone.
No, I do not.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Mr. Sample, any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. How did these limited search terms affect your search on the Heisman campaign's technology?
Well, it was directly to the files, so if they had written the memo, it could have been saved under a different term. If you write something about dogs and save it as cats, when I search dogs, it doesn't show up.
And you also said that the phone number was saved the same day it was created. What day was that?
February 28th, 2015, and it was specifically saved at 11:30 p.m.
Thank you for your time, Your Honor. No further questions.
Anything based on that, Mr. Vandenberg?
Brief recalls.
Okay.
You mentioned searching for these two documents, Plaintiff 2 and Plaintiff 5.
Yes.
You searched for any consecutive group of 7 words on this document, right?
Yes, in the content of the file names.
And any consecutive group of 7 words on this file.
Yes, in the content of the file
In
names.
the content, not the titles.
Of the file names, yes.
And in the content, you did not find either of these documents on any of the Heisman campaign computers.
Not in any of the file names, no.
Or the content, not just the file names.
Yes, the content of the file names. No, I did not.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
I don't know if you have any time, but.
There be no redirect, Your Honor. I should ask that Mr. Garcia be allowed to leave the stand at this time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Plaintiff rested case in chief?
Yes, Your Honor. We rest our case in chief, and we ask for a 5 to 10 minute recess prior to the defense's case in chief.
You're done with your case in chief. I don't really care what you want. Mr. Vandenberg,